Hi, welcome. My name is Kubeir. I am an ICCRC licensed immigration consultant, and today we are going to talk about Canadian immigration as normal, of course. And this channel is all about things you should do, things you shouldn't do, news, updates, everything to do with Canada and Canadian immigration. As usual, today is a beautiful Saturday, a bit chilly though. Obviously, winter has set in, and this is our weekly roundup. So, welcome everybody. As usual, some of the things are going to be pretty standard as and how we go with that. So, we will go with the different things that have happened within the provinces in terms of the draws. We will talk about a little bit about whatever has happened with express entry. Then we will talk about other things that are happening, not happening on the horizon. And after that, we will talk about. I actually have a very, very long list. Let me see if I can show this to you. I have a long list of no, it's not clear. Well, anyways, I have a long list of other things that I want to talk to you about, things that are a bit whatever. And then we will hop on to the question and answer session. So until we get to the question and answer session, I would strongly recommend to hold back on the questions because I tend to lose those questions with the feed that works out so fast. So hold back on the questions. We will very quickly run through the small presentation that we have about the roundup, and then we will get on with things the way we would want to otherwise. Okay, let's see if I can. This is what happens, I won't be able to find it then. Okay, found it. So starting usually, as we usually do, quote of the week, and this time it's, if you continue to think the way you have always thought, you will continue to get what you have always got. Is it enough? Said by Paul Meyer. And this is so true, right? If you want to make a change in your life, you will have to do something different. If you will continue to do the same thing, you will continue to get the same thing. So unless you are satisfied with that, you obviously need to make those changes and hopefully see those differences coming through. This is the Canadian Immigration Weekly Roundup. We are on several social media platforms, so do connect with us as we do update those things as and when they happen. Today's topics of discussions would be the latest Pnp draws, the express entry draws, other news as and how that has happened, and of course the question and answers. Starting with the provincial nominee programs, last week, actually, Prince Edward Islands had conducted their PNP draw, and the next one is expected on the 16th of December. They have been holding their scheduled immigration draws almost every month. And in the last draw, which was actually on the November 18th, so it doesn't even come within this week. But anyways, I think we did cover it in our last week as well. But the reason why I'm covering it again is because a lot of people ask for this particular province because they have been told by a lot of people that it's very easy to lodge. I do not know what this means, but it is very easy to lodge the application in Prince Edward Islands. So I would like you guys to be aware that while it is very easy to create your expression of interest on the Prince Edward Islands, and it takes a few minutes and it is valid for 6 months. However, you have to be wary about the fact that in most cases, they will always invite people from inside the provinces. So all these agents who are sitting out there and who tell you that they will get you into Canada through this route, you need to be wary and careful about that. So far they have issued 1,729 invitations. Newfoundland and Labrador. Now this was very, very exciting because what happened was in the early part of this year, I think, was it Jan or was it Feb? I don't remember exactly, but I think it was January. They came out with a program where they invited people from all different occupations, mainly information technology. It was also to do with ocean sciences and healthcare. And they said they would basically invite 400 people under this new stream. And there was no specific criteria. So there was no specific criteria with IELTS, with education. But it obviously, if you do not have the education and work experience, it was not going to work for you in most cases. However, they invited candidates to apply for this particular stream, priority skills stream of Newfoundland and Labrador. And they finally did invite, and they did not invite 400, but they went ahead and invited 663 candidates. So only recently they have released the list of invitations that they sent out, and they did include in this invitations software developers, web developers, data and security analysts, nurses, personal support workers, clinical psychologists, and radiation therapists, amongst many others. So this is another thing, that people who are aspiring to come to Canada and who are looking and hoping for things to work their way, you have to always be abreast of all the things and changes and updates that are happening, because out of the blues a program like this will appear, and if you're not ready for it and if you're not aware of it, it will pass off very quickly. Something similar is also New Brunswick, where they are constantly updating their new recruitment initiatives or information session initiatives. So you should always be aware of what's happening, so that you can basically take advantage of the opportunity as and when that happens. Again, the usual suspect on our all weekly roundups is British Columbia. I mean, they always manage to creep up there because they are very regular with their draws. So BCPNP invited 357 candidates in their latest draw. 258 invitations were sent through the general draw with the minimum score requirements between 71 and 97, and 99 invitations were issued to candidates with scores of 103. I mean, the lowest score of 103, and the knock codes were 0621 and 0631. They have been issuing invitations specifically to these two knock codes because these were earlier ignored or were not being included. So now that the economy is settling down and things are getting better, they are now concentrating back on these knock codes as well. Alberta, the favorite of the lot, but they publish their the news quite late. Actually, the draw happened on the 9th of November, but they only published this information on 24th. But if you are part of our groups, if you're already part of our social media network, then you would know that this draw happened long back, because based on the fact that people receive invitations, we are able to bring that news to you very quickly. So 200 people were invited in this express entry draw connected with Alberta in their express entry stream. And the latest score, the lowest score basically this time has gone up. It is 343. Earlier it was 300, the lowest score. This time it went up to 343. So far, Alberta has invited 6,359 express entry candidates. For the whole year of 2020, rather large part of 2020 and 2021 early, they were not inviting people from outside Canada. So a lot of people were not able to take that advantage. But thankfully, now that they have opened up this, trust me, Alberta is like a lottery ticket, right? I mean, if you could wake up one morning and find out that you have received an invitation from Alberta, because Alberta never announces or publishes the information on who and what the criteria is to invite candidates. So if you get it, consider yourself very lucky. Hopping on to the express entry. Well, express entry continued with the torture, I would say, and they conducted a draw for PNP specific only. The minimum CRS score was 737. This draw happened last Wednesday, and this was the 6th PNP specific express entry draw, which is happening back to back. And this year, Canada has held more PNP draws than any other draw. But the total number of invitations this year has been 112,653. 112,653 invitations have been issued. For this specific PNP draw, they had invited 613 candidates. Now, when we say PNP draw, it basically means these were the candidates whose profiles were in express entry, and they have received nomination from provinces and thereby receiving 600 additional points. Therefore, they became eligible for this draw, and hence they were invited. Based on the trends, a lot of people were expecting for a CEC draw. Unfortunately, that also did not happen, because now we know that IRCC is holding back. I mean, not that it is rocket science. I think we've known this and we've been discussing this for a very long time, that IRCC has been holding back draws because they now also are worried about the backlogs. I mean, like, duh. And in other news, as I was saying, this basically came out in one of the media publications that they revealed the fact that they have obtained an internal memo from IRCC, and based on that they could they could understand that IRCC is holding back on inviting federal skilled worker draws and CEC draws so that they can tackle its backlogs. It is a heavily redacted internal memo, and they basically say the same thing that we have been talking about. I do not know if you've been watching my last few videos, we've been talking about the same thing. So I do not know what new was learned with this particular article, which said that IRCC is going to concentrate in 2021 on the CEC and TR2PRs and people who are inside Canada and and basically they are, as of right now, holding back on FSW and CEC because now the backlogs have become like a mountain, and they want to first look at the backlogs, or rather clear some of the backlogs before they could resume the draw. As I said, not rocket science, but you know what? I'm going to talk about more about this particular article and some of the areas that I think are not correct the way they are indicated. And I will also share with you a copy of this memo or this internal memo, which basically people are not sharing. These news articles, they will never share the memo with you. They will just talk about their understanding of that memo, which I will show you is quite incorrect. I mean, the way they translate it would be better if they actually put up the memo itself so that we can read it directly, but they put their understanding of the memo, which sometimes is skewed, and I'll show that to you in a bit. So let's get on with the presentation first. And then, yes, Canada has yesterday, effective November 26th, Canada has banned flights from 7 South African countries, that is South Africa, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Lesotho, Eswatini, and Mozambique. I don't think we had direct flights from these countries anyways. But anyways, so the Canada has banned those flights because of the new variant of coronavirus, and a lot of countries are quite concerned, and they want to be proactive, and hence they have closed their borders. So not only are the direct flights banned, also foreign nationals who have traveled through these 7 countries in the last 14 days will not be able to travel to Canada at this point of time unless they have completed their 14 days period outside, if they're traveling to Canada after completing 14 days after having returned from these countries. And if you're a Canadian or a permanent resident who's traveling from these countries, you will be able to travel back, obviously through a third country transit, but you will need to do your COVID test before arriving into Canada, and may also be subject to quarantine and on arrival COVID tests as well. So a lot of countries are taking this quite seriously. We can see this. So COVID hasn't gone away, right? As much as we would like to return back to our normal lives, we have to always keep remembering, keep in mind that this COVID hasn't gone away. It still lingers, and lingers really, really strong, and it can always make a comeback, and travel restrictions can always come back. Saskatchewan, yes, this is another exciting news that I wanted to talk to you about. Is Saskatchewan has launched, or rather announced, the launching of a new pilot program called it's a bit of a tongue twister. Hard to fill skills pilot program. It's a new program that has been announced, but it seems the modality of the program has not been announced. We managed to get a bit of a knock list, and it is posted on the video that I've done on this particular subject. You can watch that video. You will see the knock list that we have obtained, though it is not official and final. They haven't released it yet. So this program will allow employers to recruit international talent for certain in-demand occupations. The eligible jobs under this pilot will include entry-level positions, which are basically knock C and D. Those are the knock codes which are usually ignored by most of the provinces. And these sectors have the highest labor demands, and basically would be health, manufacturing, agriculture, etc. So one of the requirements for this is that if you have work experience outside Canada, it should be at least 1 year. If you have work experience in Saskatchewan, it should be at least 6 months, and you will be eligible. But the biggest criteria for this program is going to be that you need to have a job offer. So if you don't have a job offer from an employer in Canada, then unfortunately you will not be able to go through this. However, they are planning to conduct this program through some international recruitment events or initiatives through their international network, which basically indicates to me that they will actually reach out to people outside Canada. And if you're eligible and if you can find an employer through that network, you probably would be able to, secure something. I feel they probably will go something like what New Brunswick does, as in conduct their recruitment sessions, and they put the candidates and employers together. And if the employers are able to choose the candidate, those candidates are then given an opportunity to apply. So I think this is probably going to go that direction, but obviously we are waiting for more information. Saskatchewan has said that they will be launching this program from December 2021. So that's only a week away. Well, that's all from me for this particular session of the weekly roundup. Please connect with us on social media platforms. We are on Instagram, Facebook, of course, YouTube, we are here, Twitter, and of course on LinkedIn, and then also now on TikTok. I don't know why we do TikTok, but hello, hey, you got to keep up with the, wherever people are. So that's where we all are. And if you have been watching this so far and you enjoyed it, I would like to see a Hulk smash on the video. Okay, so that was interesting, and tell me if you like that, the presentation that we did, and if that was anything revealing, anything you managed to learn from that. But I have got several other things that I want to talk to you about. Did you know Punjab government in India wants to be an immigration consultant? Did you know that? Did you? I mean, I didn't know that, and I just read this article on Toronto Star, is it? Or was it The Star? I can't remember, but I will find that article. I will link that up on our tweet or Twitter, on the Twitter account. So if you're not there, you should join us. And funny enough, Punjab government now wants to themselves become an institution who will mandate that the students or international students in Punjab actually take their services to get admissions to colleges, because they realize that there is money to be made there, and why don't they get a piece of the pie? So that is probably the way they want to go. I mean, I was quite surprised that a government wants to come into, if at all they were coming in to sort of regulate the profession, to regulate so that people don't get scammed, people don't get cheated, and they were there to clean up the mess, then fair enough. But I do not know how this is going to go, and I do not know how it is going to go down with the consultants who operate out of Punjab, and how are they going to look at it. So this is going to be interesting to watch. Let's see how this unfolds. So that was the first thing which I thought was quite funny. I've already spoken to you about Saskatchewan. I will talk to you about the news article which talks about these backlogs, and it talks about these let's do that first. Okay, so this is what we have. As you can see on your screen, this was the old article. So this is the newer article, correct? And here, let's start from the beginning. It says IRCC, and this is the CICnews.com, who, first of all, I must clarify that they are not the official publication of IRCC. Sometimes the name CIC News sort of confuses people. Guys, please, this is a private newsletter of an immigration law firm. It has got nothing to do with IRCC. So please do not consider this as an official news coming from IRCC. It's not. Now, this article, which has again created a bit of ripples, says IRCC is looking to tackle express entry backlogs before resuming federal skilled worker program and CEC invitations, which is obviously, again, not rocket science, but they talk about having received an internal briefing memo, but there is no sign of the briefing memo here. And then it says it is heavily redacted, which is fair enough. And then it talks about something regular stuff. And what was really of concern to me was it says that the internal IRCC briefing notes that the backlog was at 108,500 as of the date of the note, which is September 3rd. Then it says that the briefing mentions the backlog of express entry candidates was 62,450 at the same point last year, which is September 2020. This means that it has nearly doubled amid IRCC's strategy to focus on providing permanent residence to candidates in Canada. So what this article is saying, that they understand, or their assumption or interpretation from the internal memo is that last year at this point of time the backlog was 62,450, and this year the backlog is 108,500. That is what their understanding is. Hello, that is not true. Why is that not true? Let me show you the memo. Hello guys, this is the memo. This is the internal memo that they're talking about, which obviously they will not publish for whatever reasons, but we obviously have managed to get it. In this particular memo, and obviously as you can see, it is heavily redacted. I mean, this is not rocket science. It's all redacted here. Nothing here after the summary. But let's see what it says. And this is where it becomes very funny. It says the number of express entry invitations issued has almost doubled compared to last year. So it is this, at this point of time, the day this memo was issued, which was on the 3rd of September, the number of invitations was 108,500 versus 62,450. Okay, they are talking about the invitations having doubled. And this article talks about the backlogs having doubled. I mean, come on. If you cannot understand the internal memo, at least do not put your interpretation, which totally, gives you a different indication. IRCC was just talking about the number of invitations that have doubled. They have gone ahead and spoken about it as if it was the backlog that has doubled. That is the first one. All right. Then, of course, this again, back to this one. What's the other page saying? This is just a snapshot of the immigration level plans. Again, the memo, as I said, is heavily redacted. It doesn't say much. It talks about the fact that operation sectors will be conducting a PNP round, etc., etc. It also talks about that because the number of inventory. Now, this is where it talks about the FHS, Federal High Skilled Inventory, has grown to 116,000 persons, okay, not application, guys, persons. To achieve the 6-month standard, this inventory should be reduced by more than half. Okay, now this is the FHS. Now, what is the FHS? Let me show you what is FHS. FHS is here, Federal High Skilled, which comes under the economic program. This is basically your express entry. Okay, now again, let's go back to the article there, or rather the memo there. Obviously, because they had to adjust to meet the Afghanistan resettlement objectives. I sometimes don't understand why they still use that, but then to understand that this is a memo which is issued on the 3rd of September. As a result, the department now anticipates concluding 2021 with a PR inventory in excess of 760,000 persons. It is persons, my friends, not applications. It also says, go back. Okay, then it says, and with 360,000 in economic classes. Again, this 360,000 is persons, not applications, as this article would want you to believe. Okay, where does it say that? Okay, it says here also persons, but in their earlier article, which was here, it says everything was applications, that all these are applications, 1.8 million immigration applications. And then as it goes down, it talks about applications. And the breakdown that thankfully they gave in this particular article, which is equating to about 360,000. Now in this you will see there is obviously Canadian experience class, which is 48,000. There is your federal skilled worker, which is 51,000. So 48 plus 51. If you equate, this is roughly 100 to 110,000 persons, not applications, which is a huge difference. And again, coming back to this is the annual target, which was 108,000 people, landed immigrants, as the target. So whenever you do read these articles, just like this, and just like this one, which talks about, that IRCC is holding back. Well, yes, IRCC is holding back, and they want to hold back for some time. Sorry, So IRCC does want to hold back because now they have realized that this mountain is climbing. I mean, this application backlog is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. It makes sense. They want to sort of hold back a bit till they can clear the chunk of it out. They had re-strategized, or rather, they have to re-strategize now because earlier with all these PR to PRs, this Afghanistan issue, this only wanting to concentrate on in Canada applications, they have reassigned a lot of resources. So now that everybody goes back to doing what they were doing, they probably will be able to release more applications. Well, the proof is in the pudding, and I'm sure most of you are already seeing it. Most of you have already seen a lot of people getting their passport requests, whether they are outlanders, as people like to call, or whether they are people who are receiving the re-medical requests. You're seeing a lot of movement. I know it is not the same that we all want to see, but there is movement. There is a definite movement. So you know this is happening. And this 3rd September memo was talking about that they will revisit the whole situation in the month of November, which is happening right now. And then they will propose to the deputy minister what can be done for the remainder of the year in terms of the express entry draws and how they would go about doing this for the next year. So, I mean, I'm a stupid, silly, hopeful person, right? I mean, I like to see the glass always being not half full. I say that's an optical illusion. I would say it's always full. Doesn't matter if it is half empty or not. For me, I remain forever hopeful. So I would, and call me stupid, call me silly if you want. I would remain positive. I would expect something nice to happen. Even there are 4 more weeks left in this month, or rather this year to go. I would still expect something nice to happen because not only with federal skilled worker draws, even with CEC draws, CEC is also now struggling because a lot of those people who are in Canada completing their 1-year work experience, they are now running out of status or have already run out of status. So they don't have any status in Canada anymore. They cannot apply for Bridge Open Work Permit. They have been left high and dry as well. 6 weeks, already more than 6 weeks, actually 6 draws, 2 months now that they haven't conducted any economic draw except for PNP specific. So there is a lot of anxiety out there. I personally feel that there should be that one final push before we say goodbye to 2021. It could be an all program, could be federal skilled worker, it could be all program, could be CEC, but at least something. I would love to see that happening. Otherwise, obviously, we will be here. We will be talking about this as and when things happen, and we will be breaking it down and tearing it apart to say, okay, guys, whoever is reading this kind of news articles, please take it with a pinch of salt, because that is the interpretation of the person who wrote the article, not the article itself, or rather not the memo themselves. I mean, they should have printed the memo, and said, okay, guys, read it for yourself. This is what it means, instead of that skewed interpretation. Saying that, yes, it is looking more and more prospective that 2022 is what would see the majority of resets happening. And that was also indicated earlier by some IRCC spokesperson. But as I said, I would like to see that one last push happening. So that was the draws. Another news is that if you are an international student who has applied for their study permit, or who have been approved a study permit, but you are studying outside Canada, well, the good news is that you can continue studying online. There is no problem. You don't have to stop, because earlier the restriction was until the 31st of December. That has now been extended. That goes until 31st of August. Wow, that's like another 8 months of and apparently this time it's the final one. They already clearly said. And this is the final one. And for these 8 months, you can continue to study online, and you will still be considered eligible for the postgraduate work permit. However, and the clarity that we received from from IRCC is that because you are outside Canada, this will be considered as distance learning. You may not get CRS points, additional CRS points for Canadian education, which you get 15 years for 1 year, 2 year diploma, 30 points for masters, or 3 years or more. That is what you get, additional points for studying in Canada. If you're not studying in Canada, inside, physically present in Canada, this will not be considered for eligible for those points. So you may face an issue in terms of those points. So think about it, then plan accordingly, and then choose whether you want to continue studying from outside Canada or you want to come back in Canada and then continue studying here. So that could then give you. But however, if your just concentration was on postgraduate work permits, well, you would still be eligible even if you have completed your entire duration of study outside Canada. So that is another good one to have. Uh, what else have we got here? One of the law firms has reported that they are seeing an increasing number of application refusals from the Philippines Manila office for spouse open work permits under C42. C42 is the exemption code, LMI exempt code under the International Mobility Program. So these were the spouse open work permit applications of international. So these are the spouses of international students, and they have been seeing some very large number of applications, being refused, and a lot of scrutiny coming up on those applications, with the simple reason because earlier the individual applied for study permit application by spouse obviously not accompanying, and then they gave that to be one of the home ties that your spouse is staying back. And once they received their study permit application, then the spouse wants to apply for spouse open work permit. So there have been certain question marks on how that is going on. Secondly is with if this is happening in Manila, I suspect this could very soon also come down into applications in India as well, because India obviously has a major chunk of international students coming, and therefore a lot of spouses also joining their internationals. There are also a lot of spouses also joining the spouses in Canada who are an international student. So you could expect some bit of not so pleasant news coming a bit later on. But because if one visa office is doing it and they are finding some anomalies there, you could see that happening in other visa offices as well. So something to watch out for. And what else do I have? Artificial intelligence. We want to talk about that a bit. I do not know how many of you read up on different articles and news and Twitters, but artificial intelligence, or a lot of people also have, rather, there's also a moniker for it. It's called Chinook. That has been used in application processing, mainly in the New Delhi visa office or Indian visa offices and China visa offices. This has already been in use for quite a few years now. It is not something which is happening right now. Actually, they now have an upgraded version of this particular software that they were using for application assessment, whereby they can do bulk processing. So a lot of people, ask why applications get processed at the same time. Rather, you do not see a consistent reviews, because there's a lot of batch processing happening. So similarly, visit visa applications, TRVs, and study permit applications also go through batch processing. So you will always see a lot of decisions coming through at one time. So you see a lot of PPR requests, whether it's international students or people who are applied for visit visas. They come at in a batches of sorts. And they use this in artificial intelligence in identifying. So they will triage the application. So triage basically is low risk, medium risk, high risk. Low risk would be applications which are like a given, right? That they would definitely get a visa because they probably had a past Canadian visa, they had a past American US visa, they have a good travel history, the finances are in order, the age group is not such where their intentions could be questioned. So these are low risk applications which would be triaged, and they would go immediately into the artificial intelligence application processing. And most of them would have a positive decision. Then comes the medium risk, where there is some concerns in any of these factors. And then the high risk are the ones where the admissibilities are a concern, where a visa officer needs to go through them. However, if an artificial intelligence factors have been put into play, then there can always be the bias factors, whereby a visa officer could indicate what would be the triggers by which the system should either flag those applications or reject those. So the system cannot reject the applications. It will still be the visa officer. But what happens is, because these applications are being picked up, it's all being picked up by data mining. So once the application goes there, they pick up the data and they just complete, or they fill up all the forms, rather it's like an Excel sheet kind of a form which is being used. and it just populates those fields with that information. So not all the information that you are entering in your application is getting populated. So a lot of information that you are sharing with the visa officer in your application, like in your SOPs, etc., doesn't get to them. They don't even see it. All they're seeing is some very limited populated fields, which has picked up automatically the information from your application form. So how you place that information is important, and what kind of information you should place where is important. And not only that, you should complete all the forms. So the forms must be completed. Don't say see attached and then add a separate paper. So what you should do is complete all the sections of the forms, and then whatever is left, for that you attach a separate paper. That way at least most of those fields will get populated, and at least all the information will go through. Secondly is try and provide a summary on the first page of your SOP, rather than writing a 3, 4, 5 page autobiography of your life. Trust me, it's nobody's reading it at this point of time. They're not spending a lot of time on the application, probably 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 minutes, no more than that. And with that, it might not get to what you're looking for. So if you're getting a very generic kind of refusal on your application, always ask for GCMS notes. Review the reasons, what the visa officer is saying. If you find they're too generic, then always ask for reconsideration under the conditions what they have refused and what you actually supplied in your application. You will see a lot of those getting accepted as well. So a lot of things to do with study permit applications, which as and how time progresses is going to get more and more difficult. Not only that, the AI, the artificial intelligence, is also able to identify when they receive applications with same template of SOP, same template of the application, same template of the way the application has been prepared, and they can identify these have been filed by illegal consultants, illegal agents, and again, that could trigger some negative inference there. So all of this has been part of things that I wanted to talk to you about. I hope that gave you a bit of an insight of what has been happening in the field of Canadian immigration in this last week or so. Good stuff. Now, if you're still here, if you're still enjoying, or if you gained some insight, I want to first see those thumbs up going down. I want to see those like buttons being smashed, because the reason why I keep insisting on the like button, and I'll just explain it to you if I haven't done it before, is that the more the video has attraction, the more it reaches out to people or other people who may also find it of interest. So while when you smash that with your like, it's you helping out others get this information, which you probably have also found of some value. Now we will get to the question and answers. And before I get to that, let me just shut off a few screens here, which otherwise start weighing very heavily on my computer and sort of then becomes a bit of an issue. Okay, I had one particular comment which I was looking at, wanted to respond to that, seem to have lost it. Okay, so as I said, there are lots of questions. If you would have held back your questions, we could have started now, but there are so many questions already up there, and yeah, we'll have to go through them first before you come to the others. Let's see how many I can get my hands on. I'm just looking for one specific comment. Just give me one moment, because here you are. Arman says, I don't agree. It's unlikely to have a FSW draw this year. Well, absolutely. I mean, your opinion is absolutely fair. And as I said, it's quite prospective that there could be no more draws. Just the way I said, call me silly, call me stupid, call me forever hopeful, and some people find that to be really a silly one to have as a moniker. But because a plan would be given to the immigration minister, deputy immigration minister this month, that is what the idea was. And because new immigration minister who had his first parliament session on the 22nd of November should be given a mandate anytime soon. Once they have the mandate, they would be able to move in that direction. I personally feel, it's my opinion, it's not something which I'm predicting. I mean, if it happens, it happens. Whether an FSW draw happens or not, I don't know. But I'm really hoping that at least one economic draw happens this year. We still have 4 weeks to go. Let's hope and pray that that happens. No, I mean, all logic points towards the fact that it may not happen. It would probably be done next year when the data, when all the numbers are reset so that they could start fresh. Yes, you're absolutely right that there is a more indication for it to happen next year rather than this. I'm not saying whether there will be an FSW draw this year or not. I'm just saying I'm hoping and praying that there should be at least one more draw before the year kicks off. whether it's a CEC draw, whether it's an all program draw, whatever that may be, but at least one more draw to sort of give us that little bit of faith in the whole system. Okay, okay, now we will have to go with the questions right from the beginning, because there are tons and tons of questions which we did not take. Okay, Gur Sahib says, I've applied for a work permit in Feb 2020. Applications is approved as per GCMS document number, but there is status is showing cancelled. Well, I can't tell you this based on what you are saying, because GCMS notes has to be read in conjunction with the documentation. You have to read it completely. Just taking one small note and saying this was cancelled, what does it mean? I can't tell you, because what it relates to, what the previous notes are, what the later notes are, that all has to be read in conjunction with each other. Okay, I can see a lot of questions asking me when will they get their PPR, when will the application be processed. We have already discussed that in detail, the timelines, the application processing times, the backlogs, etc. in my previous videos. So if you haven't watched that, please go and watch that, because I don't have anything new to offer in terms of when will an application for work permit be processed, when will a spouse over work permit be processed, when will a visit visa be processed, when will you get passport request, when will you get remedical request. I don't have the exact numbers at this point of time. Nothing has changed from last week. So please do watch those videos, because those questions, I mean, I'm not going to be able to offer you any additional new insight than what we have already done. All right, Joel says, my AOR is Feb 21. I didn't pay RPRF. Is there any way to make the RPRF payment now, or is it better to pay the RPRF request from IRCC? Well, you can pay the RPRF now. You can go into the CIC website. You can Google pay the fees or how to pay the fees CIC. You will be able to see the link of the IRCC website, how you can pay the fee. You can then pay that fee and then upload the copy of the receipt to IRCC using a web form. But my suggestion would be that since you did not pay, then now wait for IRCC to ask you for it. Then you will be able to upload the fee directly to your account, directly to your application. It would reduce those processing times. Now, when you will raise a web form, by the time somebody attaches to your application, by the time somebody reviews your application, it would be the same time. So just hold on a bit and then use it. I mean, upload it when they ask you for it. It's a kind request to please talk about New Brunswick Strategic Initiative Stream, whether after exploratory visit, what are the chances of getting the PNP? Well, it's as far as the Strategic Initiative Stream is concerned, it's just been launched it hasn't been launched recently, it has been there. First of all, you have to be invited for an exploratory visit. And even after you complete the exploratory visit, and there is a lot of, again, stress on the French speakers on the strategic initiative stream. So even after you have completed the exploratory visit, it does not give you any guarantee that you would get invited. I mean, if that was the case, everybody who comes to Canada on a visit visa would probably go back to New Brunswick and stay there for 2-3 days and expect an invitation. It's not that. You will have to meet the province's officials. You probably will have to be invited. You will have to express the intent to sort of wanting to live in the province. And then you are invited, then probably you could expect something from them. But again, check the website. I think it talks a lot about it. I haven't updated myself on this particular stream anytime recently, so my knowledge, my answer may not be entirely accurate at this point of time. So the best thing is to please go check the website. It will have all the information in there. Oh, we did this, sorry. Medicals are going to, please, should I go for upfront medical? Should I expect get prices? Okay, so you're asking me about whether I want to do your medical upfront or not, or should you wait? I would suggest that so many people are concerning themselves, should we do upfront medical? Should we not do upfront medical? If you want to do upfront medical, go ahead and do it. If you're that impatient, then do it. Otherwise, just wait. Maybe IRCC might not even ask you to do your re-medicals. Okay. And also what is happening with this re-medicals, a lot of people are worried about it. Should I do it? Not, should I not do it? Will it save me time? Will it not save me time? All that kind of a thing. When you do an upfront medicals, it is not connected to your application. So you have to do your upfront medical, then use the web form and then raise the web form. Once the IRCC receives the web form, they will attach that with your application. But nobody is checking your application at that point of time. Only when somebody picks up your application to start reviewing it, then when they realize that your medicals have expired, sometimes they might not even check that you have completed your medicals. They might still send you a medical request. If then you have a medical already completed, they would then send it for assessment to check what is the assessment report. By the time they get the assessment report, that is when they will update your medicals. It's going to take a bit of time anyways. Versus You get a medical request, it has a barcode, it has an IME number. You get your medicals done, it is linked directly to your application, it gets updated immediately. And the person who's processing your application gets a trigger and he starts processing and completes it. You do not gain anything additional as of right now by doing it and upfront. So just wait it out. It mentally you might feel, oh, you are doing it faster, but actually you're not doing it faster. So just wait it out. Just you might not even need to do remedicals. Okay, can I expect the processing? As I said, if you're asking me for timing of your application processing, please watch the earlier videos. We have discussed that in at length about the processing timing. It's quite insulting from FSW applicants. First, they say there is a backlog. Okay, why are they still taking applications? Is there any plan for those applications will be expiring? Well, good question. And I'm just thinking of a nice way to answer this question. As far as insulting is concerned, IRCC has had their challenges. I mean, as much as we try to beat them up all the time, they have had their challenges. Yes, I absolutely accept that they were really, really bad in managing this whole thing, in reacting to the way the things should have been done. But you have to also understand, at the end of the day, they are a federal department, they're a government department. There is a lot of bureaucracy, there is a lot of red tape. They still need to get approvals. I mean, people do not want to take decisions because they feel they might get, they might make a wrong decision, they might get booted out. So there is a hierarchy which needs to be followed, even for smallest of things, if it is a policy decision. In a system like this, where this happened, and obviously now the memos that are coming through, that we are getting our hands onto in terms of ATIP and all, it mentions very clearly that this was decided last year in December, somewhere in the month of December, that because they realized in December that they could not achieve their immigration target for the year 2020. So they wanted to then there itself make it a point that for 2021, they are spot on with the targets, that they absolutely, make sure that the targets are met. So they made this plan that for 2021, they are going to be only focusing on in-Canada applications. So what did they do? They did a lot of CEC draws. They did this large CEC draw. They did this TR to PR. And in order to manage all this, it's not that they had more staff. It's just that they had to reassign staff. They had to reassign staff from application handling, which they considered was of less priority or lower priority, because at that point of time, severe or strict travel restrictions were also in place, when you knew that people will not be able to travel anyways. So you could assign or reassign people who were handling those applications into handling in-Canada applications. That was one of the first things. Second thing was that they were very, very slow to manage this whole work from home kind of a process, whereby their staff were not equipped. Their staff did not have proper equipment, and they were not trained. They did not have those secured data lines so that all the information remained private and confidential. They had those challenges, and it took them a lot of time before they could sort that out. All this while, the problem, I think the biggest problem, and what is most insulting, and you're absolutely right about that, is that there is a lack of transparency and there is lack of communication. Nobody from IRCC has ever come out and said, guys, we know this is happening and this is what we are planning to do. That's it. That is all that was needed. Maybe a tweet, that's it. That is all that the person had to do, to come out and say that this is what they're planning to do, so that all these hundreds and thousands of people who are pinning their hopes day in, day out, whether waiting for a draw, waiting for a PPR, waiting for a medical request, waiting for COPR, they would all have something to then chew upon, or something to rely upon, because they know that nothing is going to happen before so-and-so date. There would be no speculation. There would be no people like me coming out on YouTube and giving you all their, whatever their insinuations are. You wouldn't have all of that. You wouldn't have all this anxiety being created. So absolutely right. This was very, very, not only to FSW, it is insulting to all application types. You're talking about FSW. There are people who are with spouse open work permits who've been waiting for a year and a half. There are family sponsorship applications who've been waiting for 2 years and more. There are caregiver applications who are waiting for 3 years or more. There are startup visa applications whose applications haven't even been touched for the last 2 years. So there is that huge number of people. I mean, it's just not federal skilled worker program applicants. And yes, it has been it's very insulting that nobody is coming out and telling them that, guys, this is what the plan is. Hold your horses. We will do this at so and so point of time. And you're absolutely right. If it helps, I'm sorry. Okay, because I know my apologizing will not make any difference at this point of time, but at least somebody needs to own up and say that yes, they have absolutely messed this up, and there should have been a better way of handling this. Yeah, so I'm sorry. Okay, Saurabh says online classes can be taken outside of Canada till August 2024 PGWP. If we complete one of the two semesters outside of Canada, will we still get education points? Well, technically, yes, that should be considered as fine. If you complete one semester outside, complete this, as long as 50% or more of your education is completed inside Canada, you should be fine. Pratik says, I have approved work visa, applied for visit visa, still waiting for PPR biometric. Can I reapply using GC key as I'm ineligible for the new portal? Yes, absolutely. You can apply with the GC key. There is nothing wrong in applying with the GC key. Absolutely. Go ahead. Arun Gautam says, I asked my question to you regarding my CEC application. With your help, I got my PR within 57 days. So many thanks from my deeper. Thank you. I'm so glad to see that. Well, you've got your approval in 57 days. That's great. Wish you all the best. Congratulations to you and your family. This is just great. Okay. We did this already. Spouse sponsorship submitted March 20, medical done 2021, no update. Again, same thing. Guys, there's no point of posting these questions about timelines. As I said, please watch the earlier videos. I do not have specific timelines for each visa office. What is Singapore doing? What is New Delhi visa office doing? What is London doing? What is Ottawa doing? I wish I had that kind of data. I would just simply put it up. But there is no credible timelines to say, okay, Ottawa will take so much time, Singapore will take so much time, New Delhi will take so much time. It isn't there. It's just a very generic timeline which we have, or which we've been talking about, and most of it is between 12 to 14 months for PNP applications. At this point of time, 20-21 months for FSWO outland applications. That is what it is looking like at this point of time. So by all means, please watch the earlier videos which talks more in details about the backlogs. Thank you, Arun. Really appreciate it. Lotaya says, I did medical for spouse sponsorship outland from July. No response. Is this normal? Yeah, absolutely. Anything is normal with IRCC. Just because you've completed medicals, do not expect them to sort of rush with the processing. Having your medicals, just help them clear out the inadmissibilities related to medicals. As far as spousal sponsorship applications are concerned, 1 year is quite normal. Up to 2 years is something which is expected by a lot of people. Does COVID situation in South African countries will affect express entry draws? No. Not like FSW draws are happening anyways. So how is it going to affect the FSW draws? Okay, we have received COPR traveling 16 Jan, 90-day delay in health insurance still waived. Is it compulsory to transfer funds to Canada bank account before traveling? Is account letters are sufficient? Well, for your proof of funds, you can have any kind of bank account details to show that you have funds available. That is absolutely fine. You don't have to transfer funds to a Canadian bank account. As far as health insurance is concerned, always please check the province, because you haven't mentioned the province. Check the province where you're planning to arrive and see what their requirements are, or prevailing requirements are at this point of time. They can always change. Bridge, thank you for the super chat. Unfortunately, there is no question. Okay, I'm applying for study permit, planning to apply for visa along with my spouse, but my spouse is already in pool PR looking for FS draw. Will that be a problem? No, I don't see that to be a problem at all. Provide a good explanation as to why your spouse is joining you. Provide decent and sufficient ties to your home country, and you should be fine. What's your call on postgraduate work permit processing? Processing times are increasing week by week from 80 to 105 days. Well, if you're outside Canada, then the processing times are ridiculous. They're very long. If you're inside Canada, it doesn't really matter. You are in an implied status. If you're in an implied status, you continue working. The longer the postgraduate work permit will take, the longer the duration of validity you will have. So it only works in your favor. Is it compulsory to add my child in EE application post AOR, or can I just inform IRCC about it, wait till I land and sponsor both my wife and my child via family sponsorship? You absolutely need to inform IRCC about the birth of your child, and you absolutely need to include your child in your application, even if your child is not accompanying you. And the reason for that is your child needs to be assessed for medical admissibility, because God forbid, if your child is inadmissible to Canada for medical inadmissibility, then you also become inadmissible. So, and if you do not disclose your child, you're basically, it would be misrepresentation. And once you've disclosed your child, obviously, once you've given that information, IRCC will send you the forms. You can choose not to, I mean, the child to not accompany you in your application or join you in your application at this point of time, but you need to go through the medical checks and you need to complete all the forms and include the child in your application. That is not optional at all. Okay, what about yesterday's restrictions? Will they do restrictions like they did since March 2020 and our applications stay on hold again? I am not sure which restrictions are you referring to. If you're referring to the flight from South Africa, well, okay, see, at the end of the day, Canada, just like any other country, will do whatever it needs to do to protect its residents, okay, to protect its borders. So if there comes a point of time where there is a huge alarm over a certain variant of COVID and they feel that in order to protect their residents, they need to lock down the borders, then I'm sure they will absolutely go ahead and do it. There is not a figment of doubt that I might have. So if God forbid something like that happens, yes. Will that put the applications on hold? I don't see how the applications will remain on hold, because these would still be temporary. Everywhere around the world, things are moving quite quickly. People are being, rather, if such variants are identified, there are also people who are researching and figuring out ways to overcome that. I don't see the applications going on hold because of that, but yes, it's always going to be a possibility. Site says, how much time it takes for the PNP New Brunswick? If I get a job offer, is it possible to apply for work permit while waiting for PR? Well, if you get a job offer from a PNP like New Brunswick, and if you apply, first you'll have to create an expression of interest. You get invited to apply, then you apply, and once you have applied, it could take anywhere from 1 to 3 months in most cases. If you have a support of the province to apply for work permit, then you can apply for work permit. If it's an LMIA that you have, then you apply for the LMIA work permit. If you don't, then unfortunately you can't. Just wanted to ask if the new variant of the virus will put the IRCC on back foot when processing overseas applications. I think we just answered that. I don't think that should be the reason at this point of time. Both on chat and the video. Thank you, Angad. Appreciate it. Your thumbs ups are something which are really, really appreciated, because, as I said, they really help the video go out to others as well. When is the next PNP draw expected from Alberta? Well, I wish they were, more forthcoming and transparent with the information. They are not. We will just have to wait and watch. Is IRCC planning knock-based FSW draws? Well, I hope they were planning FSW draws to start with. Well, at some point of time, there is a lot of talk that there could be a knock-based selection, but I don't see that happening anytime soon, because the new knock has not even been put in place yet. The new knock, which is also referred to as a tier system, that would only come into play towards latter part of next year. So we still have some time to go there. Aisha says, thank you for the video. They are very informative. Thank you. Appreciate it. Please provide your email address to reach you. Well, you are most welcome to book an appointment, and you could do that by using this link. And if you use this link, you can make an appointment. We can discuss your application one-on-one. Apart from that, you could always, if you're interested in the services, then you could always drop an email on this email address, and we'll be happy to help you and guide you with the services as well. Okay. Umang, thank you for the super chat. I'm CEC Inland. I received portal email in May. At the same time, I got married. I added my spouse. All checks have passed. Would I receive another portal email? Well, you would receive, obviously, if you have, you should receive another portal email. You would be asked to, get your CO. They have to give you a COPR. And at this point of time, the way that they're giving you COPR is by doing your virtual landing. Once you have completed that, or simultaneously, you should also receive a passport request for your spouse, so that your spouse, who may not be in Canada, would be able to send their passports for stamping and thereby come to Canada. Congratulations, by the way. Bridge Patel says, I got my COPR November 1st. I added my wife after AOR, went to India, got married after AOR, waiting for PPR from 1 month. Her name is in my COPR. So you have your COPR. Okay, all right. There, I mean, again, this is typical IRCC for you, right? Nothing is happening in the way that should be. For a lot of people, they send out passport requests for the accompanying spouse first, and then they give you the COPR. For a lot of you, like it's happened with you, they've given you the COPR and there's no passport request. What I would suggest is send an email to the same email address where you got your portal request from, and have them follow up on what's happening with the passport request for your spouse. In the case of split processing, sometimes these things can get delayed. So yeah, don't panic. This should come through. Your spouse would also get a passport request. I've submitted 2 separate PCCs, Sri Lanka and UK. I'm missing 2 days from Sri Lanka PCC, where I was flying to UK from Sri Lanka in 2 different occasions. My agent said this won't be a problem. Please advise. Well, technically, if you are providing a police clearance, then your duration of stay in that country must be included. If you do not include the duration of your entire duration of your stay, then IRCC has the right to refuse your application. Kartike says, I am on study permit. My family's visit visa got rejected last week, citing the reason they will not return. Can you please suggest what we should do now? Well, what you should do, first of all, is to order GCMS notes so that you can understand what exactly was the reason or the concern that the visa officer had, and then go ahead and after you've addressed the reason why, or rather if you've identified the reasons why the visa officer had concerns, then provide documentation addressing those concerns, and then you will be able to reapply after that. Farhan says, I have a job offer from Montreal. My employer processed my application. My biometrics were taken 10 weeks. My PPR is delayed. I am from India. We don't even know what application you processed. Was it a work permit application? Was it a PR application? If it's a work permit application, my friend, work permit applications are taking almost 1 year at this point of time. So if it's only been 10 weeks, you have a long way to go. Always impressed with your knowledge about the subject. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Appreciate your kind words. Revati says, good morning. Applied for TRV. My family with valid work permit GCK. When will I expect my results? If you have applied for a work permit, for my family with valid work permit via GCK from India. Well, if again, there is so many things that are not known here. If they have a close family member in Canada, the application will be processed on priority. If they do not have a close family member in Canada and you haven't provided that information, then it could take some time. Otherwise, if you've applied for a visit visa or a TRV where you have a close family member in Canada, expect between 35 to 45, even 50 days at this point of time. But yeah, that's what's happening right now. Applied TRV portal says processing 17 months. GSCMS says approved. June 2021, didn't receive approval letter. Should I reapply, losing postgraduate work permit time? Yes, absolutely reapply if you wish to. Unfortunately, there is nothing you can do to expedite the stuck application except reapplying. Hopefully, by reapplying, at least you will get the decision faster. Can you put some light on getting work permits? According to your opinion, is this the right time or will have to wait till January? No, absolutely apply. The sooner you will apply, the sooner you'll get into the queue. The sooner you get into the queue, the faster it will process at some point of time. As of right now, it is taking a ridiculous amount of time in the processing. My father-in-law is helping us with the gift deed in favor of both my wife and my name. How now can I deposit the check in my wife's bank account, then get authority letter, or part 2 below? I don't know what we are referring to here at all. I do not know which application we are referring to. We do not know what is the background here. But if you're using the proof of funds for your PR application, then yes, you could. If your spouse is accompanying you in your application, you could use the funds in your spouse's account as part of your proof of funds. And if she has received the gift deed, then that's absolutely fine. Just provide the the source of the funds, and that you have received the money as gift, and that should absolutely be fine. I got rejected because I forgot to add a document when I submitted all my documents after receiving the ITA. Can I apply again? Do I have chances? Thank you. Yes, absolutely. You have a chance again. I mean, depending on your score, you should absolutely create your Express Entry profile. Once you create your Express Entry profile, you get a new ITA. This time, please make sure that you provide all the documents, complete application, and then yeah, you should be fine. There is no problem. But make sure you disclose your previous application rejection. Would PPR confirmations only get faster ahead for FSW, or IRCC would slow down processing because of? No, as I said, I don't see this affecting the processing of applications affecting with the new COVID strain. I mean, there is no connection, to be very honest, at this point of time. At least at this point of time, there is no such thing that they would slow down the processing just because there is a new COVID strain. I'm sure they would. With the way this virus is, there will always be some mutation happening at some part of the world. There will always be something which is always, there's so many moving parts in this machinery. But I don't expect them to slow down with the processing because they're already aware that there is a huge backlog that they need to cover up with. I don't have any information about my half brother and sister to be filled in the additional family information. Do I explain that with LOE? Yes, absolutely. Whatever information you have provided in the application, provided in the form, and add to that an explanation stating the information that you don't have. I am from Mexico City. Do you help people from India and that part of the earth? How much do you recommend me to analyze my profile and tell me all my options? Well, that's okay. We help, we process. We have clients in more than, I think, about 50, 60, 70 countries now, and the last count that we had, including from South America. We have handled applications from Mexico, we've handled applications from Argentina, we have applications from Colombia as well, and there was also from Venezuela. So yeah, we've done a lot of applications from that part of the world. So the information is the same. I mean, just because I belong to a certain part of the country doesn't mean that we will handle applications only from that part of the world. The information is the same. The criteria is the same. The Canadian immigration system has the criteria which is the same for all nationalities. It's not like it's nationality specific. So the information, the criteria, everything is the same. If you want us to analyze your profile, you could choose a 40-minute consultation. That would give us enough time to discuss your background and also look at possibilities of where you could, or what would be the possible factors that could help you come into Canada. Okay, TRV processing, should I reapply? We did that already. How much time it take? Oh, so we're getting same questions again now. Hold on, let me just see if there's any change in the questions. Let's see. Ibrahim, thank you for the super chat. Received a letter that they began processing my application, and to make a decision, they need proof of funds. Although I submitted one during application a year ago, what could be the reason? Well, there could be any number of reasons because, again, I do not have much information on what you are saying. Could be you provided only a bank letter. You did not provide bank statements. Could be there was no explanation on the funds that have come into your account. Where did the funds come from? Could be there is a gap. Could be that you have some sort of a liability or loan that was discovered. Could be they did a background check on you and they felt that maybe you don't have the funds. Could be any of this reason. But the good thing is that they're asking you for it. When they're asking you for it, they're always giving you an opportunity. So provide them with the required documents, provide them the required fund documents, and you should be fine. No problem with that. Jatinder Pal Singh, thank you for the super chat. Unfortunately, there is no question there. Okay. More questions saying the same thing about time, how much time. So I'm just skipping those. Okay. Looks like we are on a repeat of a lot of applications. Brenda says, you're the best. I paid 2 immigration consultants and did not like my appointment with them. I think they only wasted my money. You make a lot of use of it. Thank you. Well, again, you don't have to pay for our consultations. You're most welcome to join our Facebook group. There is always a lot of discussion that is happening on our Facebook groups. So The link to the Facebook group is in the description box. Join the group. There are plenty of people. There are 200,000 people there, and everybody is talking about their active applications. And a lot of members can also give you a lot of help in the sense, like, because they've gone through the process, or they're going through the process, or they have a similar issue, or they've faced a similar issue that you're facing. So, yeah, sometimes you don't have to pay for it. If you're only willing to do a bit of research, if you're only willing to spend a bit of time trying to figure out it's not rocket science. You don't need a consultant to handle your application. You don't need a consultant to give you any answers, but you should have the patience and the time, and you want to put in the effort to do the research to figure out what that information is, where it is saying so, and make sure that you're taking it from the authentic source, not from some just from some blog post or some random YouTube video, because that could, as we've just discussed this today, right? An article takes the internal memo from IRCC and totally gives a different understanding than what should be. So yeah, be a bit more careful with the source of the information, but information is out there. Nobody needs a consultant to help them start with the application. On that note, one piece of another information I missed out is that we are no longer ICCRC licensed immigration consultants. We are now CICC licensed immigration consultants. That is College of Immigration Consultants. So College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants. So we have a new regulator, CICC, College of Immigration and Citizenship Consultants, and this new regulator became live on the 23rd of November. So there is no longer ICCRC. ICCRC is now defunct, and they have now transitioned into becoming CICC. So again, you should now check for CICC instead of ICCRC as the legitimate consultants' credentials. So that's another thing people should always be aware of. Okay, I can see a lot of questions being repeated. I'm not sure if that's the feed or that is how it's coming through here. Are PNP applications processed faster than the normal application? Okay. There is no such thing as PNP application being faster or slower. At this point of time, one of the reasons why they did process a lot of PNP applications before they processed FSW applications, outland applications, is because a lot of these applications have either a work permit. A lot of PNP applications had a work permit, or they obviously had their documents which were expiring, and therefore they had to process them so that people could be back in status or could come to Canada and start working. A lot of PNP programs are also initiated based on the fact that people have job offers. Means employers extended that job offer based on the labor market shortages, and therefore they wanted to process them faster. That is the only reason that this happened. Under normal circumstances, there is no difference in the processing time between a federal skilled worker application or a PNP application. Also, just because you have submitted a PNP application does not mean at all that you have an automatic approval from IRCC as well. On the contrary, your application will have a further level of scrutiny to assess if you genuinely intend to reside in the province that you are stating that you will reside. So a lot of people feel that just because they've submitted a PNP application, just because they have a nomination, their PR application will be processed faster. That is not true at all. On the contrary, you should make sure you submit a good application to IRCC. It is a complete application. You include all the information, and obviously there should be no contradiction in your intent in wanting to reside in the province who has nominated you. Rahul, thank you for the super chat. Will I be entitled for postgraduate work permit if I reapplied after one refusal for study permit after my class started taking online classes now? Well, your postgraduate work permit, the eligibility would start from the day you applied for the successful application. The one which was refused, that will unfortunately, that period will no longer be counted. It will be counted from the day so for example, you had a previous refusal, now you applied on the 27th of November, and this application is accepted. Then from 27th November, excuse me, then the period of your study from 27th November would count. Well, so many of you are still here. I want to see some more Hulk smashes coming through. The numbers are not going as they should, because the more the numbers go, the more people get to see this, and the more people get to take advantage of the very good information that we are giving out right now. Okay, happy Saturday morning. My question is, if eligibility is cleared, what are the percentage of success in the whole process? Only security pending. Well, there is no such thing as success percentage in such case, because there could be X number of factors in your application which we are not aware about. But if your eligibility has passed, if your criminality has passed, if your medical inadmissibility has passed and only security is remaining, you can pretty much be. And if you know that you have nothing in your past, in your closet, which could sort of dig out any skeletons, then you should be fine. You could pretty much expect that this is going to go through absolutely. So there's no problem there. As long as you know that there is nothing wrong, or rather there's nothing hiding in your closet, that's fine. Got my stamped passport after 1 month. Thanks for all the advice you gave. Karthik, I remember you were the same person who had multiple study permit applications, and you cancelled one, you applied for another one, something of that sort, right? I'm so happy that you've got your passport stamped and you would very soon be on your way to Canada. All the best, man. All the best. Congratulations. Can you advise about citizenship backlog? It's crazy. Right now, I think it's about 2 to 2.5 years. People who have applied in 2019, only now they have been, getting their invitations for the oath ceremonies. Yeah, so it's really long. It's 2 years plus right now at this point of time. What percentage of SIN OID PR application get its work experience verified? Almost all the applications. Saskatchewan is very, very strict. They are very aware of a lot of fraudulent practices that take place outside. They're also aware of a lot of mismatch in the application, the information that you provide. So yeah, almost all applications get verified unless the documentation that you provided is so solid, so rock solid, and it can be verified through third-party sources. Yeah, almost all applications get verified. Mohammed Wakar says, my question never taken. I'm trying from long time. Didn't we just take your question? Yeah, we took your question. Come on, man. Now you can't complain anymore, right? AINP applied pre-arrival letter. When can I expect PPR? As I said, you can please refer to my earlier backlog videos that have been discussion on the. There is a lot of discussion on these backlogs. How much do you charge for 40 minutes discussion? We charge $238 for a 40-minute discussion. If you wish to book a consultation, this is the link. That's the link. Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's the link. Give it a look. And we also have other consultants, ICCRC consultants. My colleague Nicolette is also offering consultations, and I think the fee there would be roughly $125, I think, about for 1 hour consultation. So you could also take a look at that. Okay. Rahul says, kindly reply to my super chat. I did, Mr. Rahul. It has been replied to. Getting a remedical request, a good sign that most of our application has been processed and it is in the final stages. Yes. Getting remedical is usually a good sign, because obviously they have checked your inadmissibilities. They have almost processed your application. Now that they're moving forward, they need to have enough validity to give you that, to process your application. So yeah, getting a remedical request is always a good and a positive movement. Anurit says, regarding FSW, the tenure of my studies in India overlaps with my work experience. Can I claim points for my work and study in this period? Which work and study should be mentioned as full or part-time? Well, if you have worked for 30 hours or more per week, it's full-time, regardless of the fact that you were also studying. And if you were also studying, depending on how many hours per week were you attending classes, if it was more than 15 hours per week, you were attending in-person classes, then that would be full-time studies. If it is less, it would be part-time studies. It doesn't matter. You can claim both of this. There is no problem. Make sure, provide an explanation so that the visa officer is not thinking that if you are studying full-time, how could you be studying? How could you be working full-time as well? So provide a brief explanation as to how did you manage to do that both. and you can absolutely claim those points. There is no problem with that. Can you please shed some light on ICT process? Okay, ICT, intra-company transfer. There are different ways under which a company may apply for an ICT work permit. Now, in this, what happens is that obviously there has to be a Canadian employer, there has to be a foreign employer. The Canadian employer and the foreign employer should share the same kind of ownership structure, so that there is, or they could also be affiliate of each other, and that is also absolutely fine. The idea is that you as an employee offer specialized knowledge or expert knowledge and have that kind of skills that the Canadian business needs from you in order for them to process, in order for them to be able to function in a good manner, in a better manner, in a profitable manner. So the company then and obviously you working for the foreign company should have at least 1 year of work experience in that company. So that association has to be established. The reason why you would come to Canada has to be established. Your work experience has to be established. Your proof that you are working for at least 1 year has to be established. The company's common ownership structure has to be established. And if you are an employee coming under the specialized knowledge stream, then yes, you have to be able to establish what is that knowledge or skill that you have, which the Canadian company cannot find in the local market. That would be one way of, that would be the one stream. The other would be the executive staff of the company, whereby the board of directors, partner, owner of the company could also come to Canada by an ICT work permit, whereby then they will be able to even get a 200 point on the CRS score if they have completed 1 year of work experience on the ICT work permit. In this, they obviously have to also provide a business plan to show why their being in Canada is so critical, so important to the Canadian business. And again, the ownership structure has to be established, and their relation with the foreign company has to be established. So it's a good program, to be very honest. It offers a lot of flexibility to a lot of people. But yeah, it all depends which stream are you looking to apply under. Okay. Will IRCC clear half the backlog and only then no program specific draws will start, or will they start sooner? Well, I don't think they're going to wait till they clear half the backlog. Okay. Now, again, half the backlog, as I explained earlier, it's only for economic programs or for federal skilled worker programs. The backlog is only about, how much was it? 100,000 people, about 100,000 some people. In the number of applications, that backlog is even less. That is about 70,000-80,000 applications only for express entry CEC. That is not a lot for them to clear off and before they start with other. As far as the economic programs are concerned, where you calculate so many other different streams, including the caregivers, the business, there are startup visas, there are so many other streams. That backlog is for 360,000 people. Now, I don't think they're going to wait for that backlog to come to, because there is no connection between the federal skilled worker or the all program draws and the entire backlog of the economic programs. They can hold the other applications back if they have to, if those are being affected. As far as only the economic programs under the express entry, the federal high skilled category, as it is referred to, as far as that is concerned, the backlog is not too high at this point of time. At least I don't think so. And each month they are still clearing that. We still have about 33 days to go till the bell rings off, and I expect that they would be clearing some more applications through this. So I expect that starting next year, hopefully as soon as possible. Hopefully, again, there is no way to speculate how soon. With the next year, would they start with the big bang? But the expectations are very high, and because the quotas get reset, of course. But yeah, as far as clearing half the backlog is concerned, half the backlog they would probably clear within a month to 2 months, as far as the economic programs are concerned, if they wish to. At this point of time, I think they're clearing in the range of about 8 to 10,000 applications. 8 to 10,000 people per month from the economic programs. At least that's the kind of numbers based on comparing with different months that we see, we can understand. So I would expect definitely early next year at the earliest we should start seeing chunks of draws start happening. Okay, last question. Oh, Sarfaraz, I'm sorry, but there is no chat, no question. Why not answer my questions? Because I probably have not seen it, or probably it is another of those questions which is quite repetitive. That's why, probably, I don't know. I haven't seen the question, to be very honest. Okay, just take one last question. Let me see which one is not repetitive. Yeah, most of them are all asking about process time. Dhawal Desai, thank you for the super chat, but I don't see any question. Okay, nothing there. Max says, what if I am the skeleton in the closet? Well, then I hope they keep you locked in the closet and don't let you out at all, because, hey, you never know. You could bring a whole graveyard next with you, right? So, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't see some of your questions at all because there isn't any. And that's the last one is, what if I'm the skeleton? There you go. Nothing here. Just scrolling up to see one last question if I could. Nope. Okay, let's take this as the last question. My wife is on a visitor visa and applied for spousal open work permit. Can she work while waiting for the work permit to be approved? Absolutely not, because she is not on an implied status which would give her the right to work in Canada. So until her work permit is approved, she cannot work in Canada. Hope that clarifies. Well, that should bring me to the end of it. We are now at 1 hour, almost 30 minutes mark. I want to see some more likes, some more. Smash those likes, smash it. Thank you so much for joining in. You guys are awesome again, yet for spending so much of time with me. Follow us on Instagram if you're not following. There are a lot. Oh, talking about the Instagram, you know what? Tomorrow morning, and starting from tomorrow morning, again, just the way we do weekly live roundup here on YouTube, on Instagram, starting from tomorrow, we are doing Coffee with Kubeir. So where we will be doing lots of gupshup, lots of chit chat about life in Canada. No immigration questions, zero, nothing to do with immigration at all. Thankfully, even I need 1 day break from immigration. Trust me, my mind wants to explode. I'll show you the kind of books I am reading for this weekend. And there, look at it. There is one, okay? Then there is two here, okay? Then there is three. I need to finish this. This is sitting on my table. And all of this needs to get, all of them needs to be cleared before I can, look at something else to read. So I need that 1 day break. So tomorrow, join me live on Instagram. We will chit chat. We will talk about different things about life in Canada, life stories. Just very, very general. Nothing to do with immigration. No backlogs, no draws, no PPRs, nothing. But if you're free, then tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which would be a regular coffee mornings with Kubeir. And I would love to have you there and discuss what's happening there. And if you wish to make an appointment, then this is the link. Please, by all means, do. And that's the email if you're interested about our services. And of course, we are also now on TikTok. I don't know why I got on TikTok, but sometimes I find it to be really cringy, if not less. But you got to do what you got to do, and just the way my social media team tells me to do, I got to do that. So I'm also now on TikTok, so please follow us there as well. Please help us get those numbers up. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your being with us today, and stay safe, take care, and I shall see you next time.